So welcome to Webforms. We have done Webforms in the past, and from time to time we'll do different types of Webforms. For example, creating a transaction kit for a buying transaction, creating a transaction kit for a listing transaction, just going in and creating a, just not even a transaction, just using a form and sending it to Authentisign. The Webforms is provided to us by the Canadian Real Estate Association. So when we log in, when we're using Webforms, it is the Canadian Real Estate Association that is providing that service. I think that's important to know. And as we go through, there's certain reasons why you'll see, forms from boards across, Canada, for example. But everyone throughout Canada, every board has a different and somewhat different way to get into Webforms. So we're currently looking at the Toronto Real Estate Board's homepage, and I'm going to show you how to get into Webforms from there. If you're using Matrix, which is another popular system, MLS system that is available at TRREB, as well as ITSO and the 22 collective boards across Ontario, so they can get in through their Matrix system. There is one generic way to get in, and I'm going to show you that as well. So if your board has gone down, and from time to time this can happen where the board is not providing service. It doesn't happen very often, but just know that you can actually get in, not just from the board. You can get in directly as well. So what I'm going to do is show you that as well. So first of all, I've logged into the Stratus through Toronto Real Estate, the Toronto Real Estate Board. And I'm going to show you really quickly. I'm going to open Google. And if you type in Webforms, it will come up with the CREA Webforms link, which is webforms.realtorlink.ca. If you were to go direct to CREA's Webforms and sign in, not through your board, you can do that by just hitting the sign in. And that will bring, well, I'm already signed in. It will bring up, I'm gonna sign out of that one. It will bring up the login credentials. And what you'll be using there is your TRREB ID or your board ID. You'll have to say what board you're part of because it has all of Canada. And so you pick the Toronto Real Estate Board if you're Toronto Real Estate Board, Hamilton Burlington Board if you're part of RAHB. And then you'll put in your TRREB ID or your board ID, and the password is going to be the original password you had set up when you signed up with the board. So a lot of people have forgotten that because it's been a while since you had to sign in using that or doing any of those extra items through the board. Like, for example, when TRREBnet had the email addresses, we all signed up with the email address and gave them a password for that email address. That would be the one that you use. So you can get that signed in through Google, Webforms on Google.
Even like I do that.
Oh, Rose. Oh, sorry. There you go. Yeah, Rose keeps unmuting herself. So when you're signed into Stratus, you can see that there's a Webforms and Authentisign sign, and you can click on that, go right into Webforms. Okay. Keep in mind, Authentisign is separate from Webforms. It's the same company actually that that provides those services, Webforms and Authentisign. If you're part of another board, you will not see Authentisign. Okay, because Authentisign is being provided by Toronto Real Estate Board, so it'll just be Webforms on a lot of your systems. But Toronto provides the Authentisign, so it's Webforms/Authentisign. The other way that you can get into Webforms is if you actually just go into TRREB and you're on your search property screen, which hopefully it takes me to. There we go. And let's say you're in an actual listing. So there you are, all the listings that are up in Newmarket today. You click on one of them. Let's see this one on Andrew Street. When you're in the listing itself, you can automatically bring this listing up into Webforms Authentisign. So that's another way that you can get into Webforms and already have that listing ready to go. What it does is it takes you to create a transaction right away. It's kind of like, let's put an offer on this property, click Webforms Authentisign, and it'll bring it in to the system. I'm not going to do it that way. I prefer just going straight in through the Webforms Authentisign section here. And what it does, it takes you to the screen that you would normally see when you're just logging in. So I want to do that. So that's what I'll do. I'll click on Webforms Authentisign. And I'll have to remind you throughout that Authentisign is different than Webforms. For TRREB members, we often think it's the same system. And we have to remember that it is a connection between the two systems. And there is advantages to using Authentisign over other third parties such as DocuSign. So the first thing it comes up with is the member dashboard. If you haven't used Webforms before, you really need to get yourself signing in, signing out, finding where you want to go to, and start to get that mind map happening. And I talk about that a lot because I find it's like a mind map. You don't feel comfortable a lot of times in any sort of technology until you know where all the little buttons are and the ones you would most readily use. So I'm going to be showing you the most readily used buttons in Webforms and not try to overcomplicate this. There's a lot more that you can do with the system than what I'm going to show you today. But what I want you to do is get an overview of how the system works, where things are located, and to get yourself through a transaction, right? So that's the first thing that comes up is the dashboard. What a dashboard will do is it'll give you a sort of all your most used sections of Webforms, okay? And not to go into how this works, but for some reason, if your member dashboard doesn't look like mine, or just know that there is a little lock and unlock button, okay, that brings up all these different things you can put on your dashboard. Don't go messing with it because you'll delete something or move something around and you want it back to the way it was. But just so you know, if you do unlock it, this becomes customizable of where things go, right? For those of you who do want to customize, just if you're first starting out, don't touch it. It's all set up right now with your transactions, your forms, your documents, and your Authentisign signings, okay? And that's really a good use of, if you have Authentisign, it's a really good use. And I'm going to show you how that really comes into play later. On the left-hand side here, again, it's just to go right into create a transaction, to start a signing. So it opens up Authentisign. If you want to upload a document, okay, and I'll go into that and why you use that. And then you can email documents. So this is a quick way of performing some functions that is found throughout the system in different ways, but now they're just putting it right up front, right? Again, the member dashboard is just for a quick way to get into the things that you use most readily. Over on the left-hand side, you have a hamburger. We call it a hamburger because it's got 3 patties, no bun. Or you can, maybe it's a bun and a patty, then a bun. But anyway, click on that and you get your dashboard and you can see what the other icons are. My icons are going to look slightly different because I have an extra thing called broker tools. Okay, so that just gives me an ability to do some stuff from the brokerage side of things. But other than that, it's the same. Okay, so you'll have your dashboard and the hamburger can go away and open and close. So you can see what the icons are. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what the most readily used places are again, and go through that with you. When you're doing anything in the system, other than doing a quick form up because you needed to fill out something that is not maybe associated with a transaction, you will use transactions most of the time. You will always have a transaction going. So if you go right into the system, say you're doing a waiver on something, don't go into forms, create waiver, and just do a standalone form. That's not used very often. The form section actually isn't used as much as we may think, because we need to associate every form with a transaction. We are now using Webforms at the company brokerage level in order to organize all the documents in a transaction. And some people don't even realize this. And then this is one of the reasons why we really want to do this training session, is so that you do realize that when you create a transaction in here, essentially you're saying, I'm working on this file and this is my folder. So when I go to hand it into the front desk, or we're looking for paperwork, we're going to go back into that folder, which is a transaction, and find that paperwork. And we can do that now efficiently without having to come to your house, look in your drawers and find that folder you've stored away for the deal you did last week, right? So this is now digital. It's all on here. All your signings are on here. All your documents will be on here, and it's all related to a transaction. So keep that in mind when you're using forms or anything in here, is that you do want to relate it to a transaction. And then as soon as that transaction's there, I was testing it this morning because I haven't been on in a while. Purchase 123 Main Street, it was the one I created today. It was a purchase of the address 123 Main Street. And that, as I'm working on it, is unique to the 123 Main Street. I should never, ever take that transaction and duplicate it and try and work from the same transaction, because essentially you're using the same folder and it makes it very difficult to find information. Keep the transactions separate. If you did 5 offers with one buyer, you have 5 transactions. You should have 5 different addresses here, and you create those through creating a transaction each individually. Never copy from another transaction. It just creates problems. So you have your dashboard, you've got your transactions. Really, those two are the most used sections of the site. Okay. These are all the transactions that happen to be in my system. Okay. I can see the 123 Main Street's right here. I can click on it and go into the purchase of 123 Main Street. That's what transaction. It's just all your, essentially opening up your filing cabinet and looking at all your files. Yours may look like this, just so you know, they got different views, right? You've got grid and list. It may look like that. It just depends on what you enjoy looking at, right? I prefer a list rather than the new school, which I guess is Windows. I like the list. Obviously, you can sort it and go by statuses and all this kind of, don't worry about any of that. You've just got your list. I have so many transactions because I actually have all the transactions for the company. So we can go into any one of them and get what we need from them. That's the power of the system. The third thing down is Authentisign. All your Authentisigns are in here. Again, each signing is a separate, we'll call it transaction signing. So they'll be in here. We'll go back, sorry, here. So Authentisign is a third party. If you're using DocuSign, you still will see Authentisign here. You're just not using the power of the system. You're deciding to go out and purchase a third-party software, which, by the way, can plug into this, but not the way Authentisign is. If you're currently using DocuSign and you want to know whether or not to continue using DocuSign or Authentisign, call me. I'll talk you out of DocuSign and into Authentisign. Right? I'm not saying I don't like DocuSign. I think it's a great product, right? I used to teach it. If you go back on Webform or go on YouTube channel, you see all my DocuSign information sessions, I'm sure, because I did it for years, right? And then what CREA and TRREB did was they brought in Authentisign and Webforms. So now, because it's part of TRREB's feature and there's no extra cost to you and it works seamlessly, it has way more functions and features than DocuSign as it relates to connecting. I think you're going to want to use Authentisign. And then you've got forms, right? If you click on forms, you got every form you can think of in here from every board across Canada. All you're looking for in any point in time is obviously one of our forms or OREA's forms. So, but really it is searchable to find what form you're looking for. And of course, sometimes it's a little slow, but there's Ontario Real Estate Association, there's Heritage Group forms, you got tenancy agreement forms, COVID forms, FinTrack forms, and then every board's forms, including Toronto down here. So you have a full range of, obviously, the forms, which again, you're not going to be using straight from here very often. Okay, I'm going to go back to let you know that when you're looking at the mind map of web forms, really of what you're using, you're very rarely actually using any of the sections in here. You're usually going to your dashboard, and I'll show you how to go into it. I feel that that's probably the best way, and using transactions most of the time. But if you see these and want to know why they are there, is so that you can go into all your forms, or in this case, all your documents as well. Documents are done things. Documents are things that we've uploaded into the system that essentially is saved for review by our admin. Okay, in the document section, you can have an inbox and my folders and shared documents. The transaction folders is the ones that we look at. If you were to click on transaction folder, every transaction that you've done will be in here with all your documents that have been signed, whether it be digitally or you've uploaded in. Okay, think of the document folder. Remember, we said you had the transaction folder. Think about the documents are just the things that are done, signed, ready to go, right? And then don't worry about tasks and broker tools. It's just, you won't see that. Faxing, contacts, setup. I really wouldn't, anything from here down, is only on a unique basis. So I'm not going to go into that. I don't want to confuse people. Really what you're going to be looking at most of the time is your dashboard, because here's your transactions you've been working on. Here's the last forms that you've been working on. Here's the last documents you've been working on or uploaded. And then here's the last authentisigns you've been. So it's a quick way to get in. At the bottom of each of these windows is what I use most, right? So if I want to go to all my transactions, I'll click here. If I want to go to all my forms, I'll go there, etc. And if we even narrow it down right to what you're using most often, right here, go to transactions. That's usually what if I have one on the go, it's probably showing up on here. I'll click on it. Okay. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to create a transaction. We'll do a purchase, and I'll show you how that works. It's the same thing for any of your types of transactions, and we'll see all the different types as we click into it. Yes, you can go right into transactions by going over to Stratus and just hitting that. So it'll start to create an offer for you right into Authentisign for 322 Andrew, and it'll bring in all the information. So you do have that ability, which is nice. But what I want to do is just create a transaction from the member dashboard by hitting plus. You're going to call a transaction what you want to find it by. I like saying purchase because I like to organize myself as purchases and listings. It's also easy for people to find, let's say our administration, when we're looking for the purchase of 123 Main Street or the listing for 123. So however, people do it differently. I do like putting purchase. So instead of 123 Main Street, I'll do 3234 John Street. Actually, no, what I will do is let's do 322 Andrew. 322 Andrew Street. Okay, the purchase of 322. I'm putting an offer in. Again, I could have clicked on there. I could have said that, but I'm creating one from scratch. So that's fine. I just want to show you how to do that. So the templates that are in the system. Now, this is where some confusion is, especially from agents that are coming from different brokerages to ours. If you were to click on template currently and you're not with Century 21 Heritage Group, this may be completely blank. And if that was the case, that's another 2-hour seminar of how to create templates. Okay, what we've done is we've created templates for every single transaction that we think that you're going to be doing with us. And we've already created the forms, we've created the clauses, we've done a lot of heavy lifting for you. So all you have to do is pick one of these. Okay, don't try and create your own transaction templates. It's a nightmare. You'll forget forms, you'll forget clauses, and you won't have the template set up in Authentisign the way that we do. Okay, so use one of these. It's a lot easier. It also eliminates the need to go and duplicate. Okay, so duplicate old listings because you don't want to create a template. Well, you don't have to. You just go in and choose the right one. Obviously, if we're doing a purchase, we're narrowing it down to the bottom half. If we're doing a listing, it's the top half. And if it's pre-construction, it's right in the middle. Okay, we do have assignments in here, right? So if we do have commercial in here. So we're going to go to the residential section. It's not a condo. It's not a tenant, condo or freehold. It is a buyer for freehold or condo. It's freehold. So that is the correct choice. Purchase of a residential freehold for a buyer. And then we're going to import. I am going to do that because it does take away a lot of the heavy lifting and I like doing it. So Toronto Real Estate Board, we're importing the MLS. Okay. Power of the system again is if you're doing for an offer up in Timmins, then you can import the MLS number for the Timmins board. That's no problem. You can still bring in the information across Canada, which is great. Reminder, you only have a license for Ontario. All right. So Toronto Real Estate Board, and we're going to go to a freehold property. That's what it is. And we're going to put in the MLS number. So I'll go over to my Stratus. I'll take that MLS number. I'll hit copy, bring it back over. I'll hit paste. Okay, now we've got the MLS number in there. I'm the cooperating salesperson. I do want to use the wizard. I think it's a great way to organize yourself. If you don't use the wizard, it's just going to create a transaction and take you back to the member dashboard. And you're going to say, oh, where do I go to put all the information in? And then, so the wizard's really good. I like the wizard. So hit create, right-hand side. And it will take a few minutes. It has gotten a little bit slower over the last year, and I'm hoping they speed it up a little bit for the future, but there we go. the purchase to 322 Andrew Street's at the top. That's what we're naming it. It's an open transaction. It has not closed. It has not, it's not pending, pending closing. Okay, it's open, right? It's always going to come up open. You don't have to worry about that. We do have new features that we've put in place. There's a lock feature, unlock and lock transactions, so that things can't get changed. We use that in administration when we lock down a transaction saying you've submitted the documents. We can talk about that in a little bit, but essentially if you come into a transaction that says this transaction has been locked down, that doesn't mean you can't do amendments. That doesn't mean you can't do waivers and different things with it. But what it's saying is there's certain things such as price, such as lawyer information or deposit or buying, selling agents, etc., that that our admin needs to make sure it gets locked down. Because if you do decide to go in there and change things because you think you're duplicating the transaction for another offer or using it in some way, then what happens is we send the wrong amount to the lawyers. They don't bill you properly. They can really mess up a transaction. So they have the ability now to lock it down, which is great. You have details, step 1 of 5. This is in the wizard. It has brought in a lot of information from the MLS listing. Some information it still needs in order to populate your forms. The more time you spend here in the wizard, the less time you'll be populating the forms. So you can choose not to use the wizard and just have everything blank other than some small information that's brought in, or you can go through and start entering information that's brought into the form. And only certain things are brought in, right? Property type, yeah. So we'll put residential. Anything in blue, it's sort of telling you should put it in. Right, so property types residential. It's got my width and depth. It's in feet. Legal descriptions there. The comments are there. It's not bringing it into any form. However, in the comments section, it may have some information here like inclusions. Right, it says it says stainless steel appliances. Really doesn't have too many inclusions, so I won't use that. But anyway, so it's listed for $1,099,000. I'm going to put an offer because the market's heading in a different direction these days. 990,000. So I'll put that in. I'll put a deposit in. I know that I've already talked to them. They want to put a $30,000 deposit down. Wasn't a lot, but I got them to 30 at least. Present use is residential. I know that's a known field. Inclusions, exclusions. I'm going to leave that blank for here just because for time, I don't want to take too much time up with that. But this is where you could put in inclusions for the property and exclusions for the property, as well as rental items like a hot water tank. Right? As an example. Additional schedules. I'm going to say there is a Schedule B. You have an additional deposit. Nope. Okay. So now I have always made this mistake. I always do this. I will go down thinking that I'm done the form and this is what I click to go to next. If I had the ability to tell them to switch where the next button is, I would tell them to move next here, save and exit up here. Would you not think? Anyway, I keep hitting save and exit, gets me out of the wizard. And I have to go back into the wizard. Just so you know, at any given time within the transaction, you can click on the wizard again should you get out by mistake by hitting save and exit. Okay, so here's next is where I want to go. Next is the dates. Now we have a contract date, expiry date. We don't have an offer date because it's not in the MLS listing. So I'm going to choose today, which is the 22nd. Okay, closing date. My people told me they want to close May 18th. So that's what I put in there. Hit next. Then you've got the contacts. Now this is where some things you want to make sure happen, right? You've got a listing salesperson. Okay, you've got a listing brokerage, Remax Realtron, and Amir is on here. Now, if Amir was working with Sarah, Sarah would also be on here, and I would go over to the menu item and I'd hit delete. I delete Sarah because I'm working with Amir. If I happen to be working with Sarah and Amir's first, that's okay. Delete Amir or put Sarah on there, but don't put two listing salespeople. It gets confusing, and you want the right person on there, right? We're the cooperating brokerage. I'm the cooperating salesperson, and we know the seller's name. If there was two sellers' names, you may be in a situation where it says Zari Moradi and Sarah Moradi, right? And those are the two sellers. Just keep it, it's fine. There is a way that we can separate them into two different sellers. And for the purpose of web forms, it only really matters if you have to send it out for a signing that they're separated. Okay, so if I have, for example, and I'm going to add a buyer, if I have a buyer, which I obviously do, what I'm going to do is create a new transaction contact, and my buyer's name is, let's use Sarah. Sarah, I don't know, Sarah Howard. First names. I don't know where I'm coming up with these things. Sarah Howard is her name. And she is a buyer. The reason why we want to put the type in here is because the system, if we were to use Authentisign, will actually put Sarah's name underneath one of the buyer's sections for the signing. If I chose and said that she was actually the listing salesperson, then her name would go under the wrong area. So if you put buyer there, that's a good thing. Okay. And if you know her email now, go ahead and put it in. If you don't, that's okay. You'll have to put it in later if you're using Authentisign. If you're not, don't worry about it. Hit save. There's Sarah Howard. Now, if Sarah and Jim, Sarah's married to Jim, if Jim was another buyer, I want to create add another person, right? And have also a buyer, Jim Howard. And you can put Jim's email address in and hit save. Now you got Sarah and Jim. See how they're two separate? I like them separated for the purpose of Authentisign. And I'll show you where that will make a difference. If for whatever reason you're bringing in and there is two listing sellers, they do not separate them into two. Just so you know, it'll be in one section. And I will show you how to separate it because I do like them separated. It just creates, it's just a little, tell the system that there's two sellers essentially, not one seller with a really long last name or a really long name. So there are your, the people that need to be put into the forms, need to be put into the transaction, organized. Now I can hit next and go to the form section. Here are all the forms I'm going to be working with. We've put the forms in there for you. Every form that you would use in a transaction typically are in here. Okay, you got your offer summary document, your agreement of purchase and sale, your confirmation of cooperation, your buyer representation agreement, you're working with a realtor, waivers and fulfillments, amendments, sales information sheet, which you need for every transaction. And it's great because it'll start populating all by itself. So you don't have to fill it, all of it in. The conditions, if you're acknowledging you're taking conditions out of the offer, like sale of a proper buyer property or your home inspection, this is a very important form, 127. Consent to advertise if you're using it. And then some of the tidy up forms, right? Buyer checklist, privacy, crime and terrorist act, financing act, explanation, our connection sheet, so all our discounts that we give, just extra stuff, right? Things that are good to have, especially like a buyer checklist if you haven't done that already as well. And then your FinTrack forms. So they're all in here. Okay. If you happen to need a form, you can add one in here now. If they're missing something, let's say you needed to add one of the buyers is a registered sales agent. Let's say you're putting together an offer for somebody that happens to be, or maybe you're related to them. How's that? You're buying it for a cousin of yours. So you'll bring up the forms here, and I'm going to type in regis because I know then either the number of the form or the name of the form in the search field. So I don't have to go looking for it. And it's registrant's disclosure of acquisition of property. That's the form I needed to. I know I need this signed because they're related. So I'll add that one. And then you'll be able to add in that extra form. So the time that you spend right now adding forms, the time that you spend in the wizard, there we go. It is going to pay off. Don't worry. Hit next. It's a document section. Now, if we're in a classroom, which next month, guess what? Maybe we'll do some classroom. I would ask the classroom, what would I use the document section for? Okay. Right now, they have this fax cover sheet. I did back in the day, right? We were faxing or whatever. They had cover sheets. Well, okay, that's in there. What else would we want to be in a transaction? This is where you add Schedule B. Okay, so I'm going to go back over to the Stratus. I'm going to look at floor plans. Look at, they don't have a Schedule B. They only have floor plans. Let's see if there's an offer that's not even floor plans. They just called it wrong. See the other one. There's their Schedule B. It's under floor plans. But anyway, let's download this, right? Let's get it in there. Now I could even fill it in and then download it, right? But I'm just for time, I'm going to download it to my computer. I'm going to call it Schedule B. I'll put it my, let's go on my desktop. Hit save. Kind of came down here in my browser, so I'll be able to take advantage of that. So I'll go back over to Stratus. No, go back over the purchase. There we go. Hit add. And it says drag and drop files here to click to upload. I can click on it, go into my desktop, select it, or I can actually go down to the bottom of my screen, click on it and drag it over, place it in. And now I have the Schedule B in the document section. Wouldn't it be nice if those documents were automatically loaded since they have the information from TRREB? That would be a good idea, but they don't. So we'll hit done here. We're at step 5 of 5. The next section is done. We have Schedule B. We're going to hit done. So what's happening now? Everything's put into a transaction, and this is now the transaction dashboard. It doesn't look unlike your regular dashboard, right? Except you're in the transaction. So don't confuse the two. I know they look similar. They maybe should have had a different color or something in here, but this is the transaction dashboard, different than your dashboard that you would click on when you first came in. It's for purchase 3322 Andrew Street. You've got a detailed overview. You've got your forms that are in the transaction, which we'll get to. And we've got the documents, which is Schedule B's in there, and something called checklist items. For the purpose of today's lesson, I am not going to get into checklist items at all, right? Essentially, checklist items is for our administration, okay? When the documents are in here, right, and you have everything in there ready to go, you can, the front desk essentially will say, here's Schedule B. It's all signed because we're going to get the signed version in here. And they're going to put that onto a checklist item. And it's probably going to be Schedule B, right, as the checklist item. Don't worry about that. We look after that. More full service. So just hand it to the front desk. Even if you just give them the paperwork, they'll do an upload into your documents. But no, that's what they're doing. Because when you go back into Webforms, you're going to notice all your documents are in there and your checklist items are saying this is done, this isn't done, etc. So there's sort of an update and a status there that you can always keep an eye on. And if you're really advanced with Webforms and maybe you have an assistant, you're on a team and your assistant's looking after everything and they're going to submit direct, they don't want to go through the front desk, they can do that too. But that's a separate training, okay, just to actually do deal submission to our admin. But the advanced system allows us obviously to go in and do that for you. So this is your transaction dashboard. And what I want to do is start filling in forms, right? So instead of just, I mean, I could do one of two. I like just clicking on the first form I'm going to use. Okay. For whatever reason, if you hit go to forms, and these are all the forms that you're going to be using, unless somebody can tell me a different way to do it, I would love it if you could click on all the forms you're looking to fill in, right? And then go in and start working with them. But there is nothing in here that allows you to do that. It only allows you to send it to Authentisign after they're filled in. So it's strange that I can't just now click on that and then these are only the forms I'm working with. I find that strange. If anybody has a workaround on that, that's great. But essentially what you're going to do is you're going to start working from the top down and just start filling the stuff in. So click on the first form that's on here, which is the offer summary document. By the way, all those check marks really didn't do anything. I mean, you would think it would, but it doesn't. So we'll click on the first one and then we'll start working with them. The nice thing is the system allows you just to go up to the top, click on transaction forms, and then just click on the next one you want to go to, right? Maybe here's where I could do it. Nope. Okay, never mind. I was hoping they would update that at some point. So the very first document we have that we're going to just fill in because it's going to get ready for signings and then we're doing the offer is the offer summary document. As you can see, it's brought in some of the information that we don't have to type in, which is amazing, right? We may, click on, submission time and stuff. I'm going to leave that blank because technically I don't know what time that's going to be submitted. And there is the listing broker information. So really, there's very little I need to do on here. If this was the only document you wanted to sign, you could just hit sign, send that off. I know one agent that does do this. Every single document is a different signature. You don't have to do it that way. In fact, it's a lot less efficient. If you're creating a signature for every single document, that's going to take a lot of time and it's not going to be a great experience for your buyer. What you should be doing is just go through this, fill it in the way you want it, and then go on to the next transaction. Eventually we'll select them and go into a signature. But for now, what we're going to do is we're just going to select the form to use, okay, or to fill out. So the agreement of purchase and sale is next. That happens to be on here. This is the big form, right? This is the most of the information that we're going to be working with. The real important stuff is in here, right? The agreement. So 22nd of March, Sarah Howard, Jim Howard. I'm going to tell you, if there was another seller, it will have the and symbol here. And making up on the last name. So let's say two people were buying it. If there was two sellers on your Stratus, listing, they're going to go here. That's okay. If it's okay if you want to do it that way, it still says their first and the first person and the second person. If you want to add a third person, it allows you to add a third person. The interesting thing is it only allows you to add two for signatures. But if you double up in one field like I just did there, that's okay. Just get a third signature when you're doing AuthentiSign. I know that gets a little confusing, but each one of these fields relates to a person. And sometimes with two,
say it again, please.
Yeah, this is difficult because if you have three buyers, okay, let's say you had three buyers. I'm going to say three sellers in this case. So let's say you had three sellers. You're going to put their first name, last name, and I would actually move this around. You can do it last name first name. Sorry, I'm going to move this around. I'm just going to take this off. This is what I would do. I'd take that off and bring it to the front, just so it's the same. So we got Zari and Geeti selling their property. If there happened to be three people, I could put Tim Smith. So now you have three people in here, right? If there's four, keep going. Because that's one of the questions we get a lot is that what if you have more? Tim Smith and Mary Smith? Then put all four in there, right? So now you have four sellers. So that's what you're going to do. I know that when it gets to AuthentiSign, it's going to look for one signature for Tim Smith and Mary Smith. That's what's going to happen. So it creates issues in AuthentiSign, but there's no way around it. So you just have to do it this way. And then when you get to AuthentiSign, you're going to have to tell AuthentiSign that there's another person signing and add a new contact, two more in this case, and then get those signatures on the piece of paper. Okay, that is the biggest drawback to the system to date. Okay, is if there's more than two people, you just have to manipulate it in order to make it work for you. Okay, it's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. Okay, you will get that a lot happening. I'm going to take this off. Well, I'll just keep it on. Let's just keep it on for now. And you just have to know that that's the way it is. Keep in mind when you're filling out legal forms, as long as the form has what it needs, so it has the first name and last name of everybody on the seller section, that's it. You've done the right thing. Okay. The system itself just doesn't allow them more than two buyers and sellers. That's weird. Real property, 322 Andrew Street in Newmarket, fronting on, let's say, the south side of, so some information is not brought in, right? South side of Andrew Street. So keep that in mind. It's not perfect, right? It's just close to perfect. City of, and that's in Newmarket. And since I don't know that Newmarket's a city, which it's not, it's municipality of, I'm just going to change that. Have a frontage of 44. Now, again, draw back to the system. They haven't fixed it to this day. I've only given them 5 years to do it, but anyway, they're great there. It's just, there's some things they just haven't got to. This should say feet. There you go. This is what they did. They put down a drop down, but anyway, I'm not going to get into rants, but in the wizard section, it had feet. Like it knows it's feet. Can't they match those two and put it in for you? Agents will forget to put in feet. Right. So if you see an offer and it has nothing on it, it's because they used the system and they forgot to put feet. Okay, so there we go. Feet. Legally described as, there's your legal description. Your purchase price is $990. Your $30,000 deposit, and they haven't made the change. This is on purpose. They haven't brought the information in because we don't know where that's going a lot of time. Like the system can't tell you where the deposit's going. In this case, it is going to Mirax Realtron, and 90% of the time it is going to the brokerage, right? Realtron. Sure, it's brokerage, something like that. Okay, and then there is a Schedule B. Now, I put it in the wizard. It didn't bring it in. Oh well, put it in. Okay, irrevocable buyer or seller. Buyer in this case, until, we're going to give them until tonight. Let's say at the 22nd, let's say at 11:59 p.m. Completion date had already put it in there for me because I put it in the wizard. My information's in there because it was in the wizard. The other agent's not in there. You can add that if you have it. The chattels are included. You're going to write out the chattels. The fixtures included, excluded. You're going to write out any fixtures that are excluded. Water tanks are rental included in the HST, right? Title search date, you'll put that in there. Let's say we said 18th, so we'll do title search date for the 1st of May. It's a residential property. And we go through everything else, making sure. See how they did not separate the names? It's so weird that the way that they've done, like, tried to do these things. You'll have to add the names in again, right? If you want, if there's only 2 seller things on the agreement of purchase and sale. I think that's to their point. I mean, hey, the forms only have 2 sellers. Why should we have? I don't know. If you have more than, you can put and the other people, I forget the names. So you put the other people under here if you like. And that way they're going to have to sign on 2 lines. As long as their signatures are there. Remember, as long as the information's there, that's what we're trying to accomplish. And if you have to put their name in here in order to remind them to put their all 4 signatures, then do that. Put their name in. If you want to take it completely out, do that too. Just, take them completely out. They need to sign, right? Let them figure it out. That's okay too. Confirmation of acceptance is blank. We've got both the buying and selling agents, which is great. Acknowledgement, right? Didn't bring in the sellers, so they can fill that in when I send it over. And then we get to Schedule A. Now, in Webforms, we have put in Schedule A all our clauses, the clauses that we know are supposed to be in every transaction. If you take one of these clauses out, okay, you are risking hiding a clause, a very important clause from your buyer or seller. In this case, the buyer's putting the offer in. So if I took out this clause and said, oh yeah, no, I'm going to waive the home inspection. We're not going to do a home inspection and remove this. Essentially, from a legal perspective, it's like you never offered them a home inspection or said that they could have one. It's their decision if they want to take it out. So only have them take it out by printing it the way it is, obviously fill in the dates, and then crossing it out and having them initial. That way you can prove to a judge, hey, listen, the clause is right there. They read it. They decided to take it out. It's your proof. So don't remove things here. If you happen to really want to make a clean offer, I get it. If you decide that you don't want to listen to me, and that's okay too. I'm not saying it's perfect, but let's say you decide to take those out. Form 127 has to be done. And that is a document that states that you did tell them that they could have a home inspection and they said, that's okay, we're not going to, okay? If you decide to keep it in and cross it off, still have Form 127 filled in. And that way you have 2 ways of proof that you did not tell them not to have a home inspection. Trust me when I say, 3 years down the road, when it comes to a lawsuit and you're standing in front of a judge and you're going, oh, I should have listened to Aaron. I should have just crossed that out. Because Now you got to fight it. And if you had everything, your ducks in a row in that circumstance, they probably wouldn't have sued you because their lawyer would have said, hey, you're not going to win this. I can show, Chris is asking me, I can show how to cross things out. Absolutely. Okay. As soon as we get to the markup tool, I can show you that.
And before you go that, I have a question. Is one way not enough to, like, the way that we get it initial? Is not enough in judge eyes?
I'm not going to get into legal issues. I'm going to say how to get out of legal. What I'm going to say is how to stop illegal, so you're not in front of a judge. Okay. I can't say what is legal and what's not legal. What I'm saying is this is best practice, so you're not sitting in front of a judge. Okay. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Whether or not there's 1 or 2 or 10 or one on one side, one on the other, I'm not going to get it. There's best practices. I will tell you, the more initials, the more, the better. But, for example, to Chris's question, how to redact or take away things, I like to do it with an AuthentiSign. So what you'll do is you keep everything in here. And then when we go to signing, that's when you'll actually put the cross through in. So it's an AuthentiSign feature. So actually, I'm not going to show that, but I just noticed that they have put this feature in on the form side of things. So I'm going to try it out. Okay, this is essentially what it looked like in AuthentiSign too. You can go to the markup feature and do strikeouts. You can do line strikes, so the drawing a line. You can do highlights, redacts. The redact is a bigger way to do a full strikeout. So I'm just going to hit redact for a second and see if this works. See how that redacts it? My only problem with a redaction like that is you can't read it. So now judge says, well, you redacted it, but they couldn't read it. So you couldn't. So, I might suggest in this case, clearing that and maybe doing a strikeout. They're like lines where you can kind of do a couple of those. And that way they could still read it. So there are different ways to do it. These are just some of the different ways, right? And actually I think, was Faye who was talking? I mean, to the other point, in terms of putting more signatures, when you go to have this signed, sign on both sides. And that way sort of saying all of that is taken out, right?
Yes. Yeah, I always do that. I don't get the Form 127 signed, unfortunately.
You should. Form 127 is if you get Form 127 signed, you're out of jail, right? That's your best way to stay out of trouble. Okay. If you do this, it's another way that you can prove that you gave them the opportunity. But what that form does is it straight out says, I have been explained this clause and I choose not to use it. That's what it says. The way we're doing it here is, well, my agent said here, just sign this, right? So Form 127 is like a 90% effectiveness. This is like a 50-50. You might still get in trouble. Okay, so that's, I don't get into all the legalities, but you do want to make sure that, yeah, if you're doing that, you protect yourself with Form 127. Okay. You've got all the clause. Now, again, this works like Word, right? Like, or any of the programs, Word, Sheets, whatever that you're using. So not later than, let's say, 9:00 p.m. on. So it's not a form you fill in. It's actually, you have to take it away and then fill it on. What's today? March 22nd, 27th, let's say, 2022. So this is what you're going to have to do for each of these, right? So anytime you see a spot where you need to put information in, you do need to put that correct information on. I will tell you, just because why not, use the exact dates. Okay, 48 hours or 5 days after acceptance is always argued. Okay, when does the 5th day start? I got a phone call last week. It said 48 hours after receipt of the status certificate, right? It was received at 12:00 on a Thursday. The agent that was representing the seller said, no, by end of day on Friday. And I said, no, 48 hours, because it says excludes Saturdays and Sundays. Okay, well, that extra 48 hours goes into Monday. So they're arguing it. If you have the exact time and date, that wouldn't be a problem. So be careful with clauses in there that don't have the exact date. That's why we use these clauses. I have had that question asked, well, how come you don't use the easy one, which is 5 days? Because it goes back and forth. And when, and maybe this is going back and forth for 3 days. Now we got to change that. Yeah, you have to change it, right? Change it. Don't just put 5 days, okay, after acceptance. What else here? Okay, so we've got all our great clauses and all the rest. Let's say you want to add another clause, right? You do have some space here. You could add it here, but let's keep it in order. So we'll go down here, put our little cursor here, right? And hit the clause section. Now you're able to find you can put personal clauses in there. We're not going to get into that, but you can office clauses and system clauses. If you need to search, you can search. Let's say it has a pool. So let's say I want all the pool related clauses. So I know that just opened up a door, right? Everybody's going to, oh, what's the best pool clause to use? Anyway, well, I won't get into that. Here's all the pool clauses that has pool in it, right? So let's see if one of these applies, right? You've got the maintenance. And if you need to see a little bit more about it, you can just click on it. To provide the general maintenance for swimming pool located on premise, including clean use of chemicals, and landlord should be responsible. Oh, that's a lease clause. We don't want that. These are lease clauses, bylaw compliance. Let's see that one. Best of knowledge and belief, swimming pool and equipment, fencing, said pool comply with applicable bylaws, regulations, legislation. Let's say you wanted that one. Yeah, I'll throw that one in. Okay. Good working order warranty. Seller represents warrants swimming pool and equipment now in completion stage should be in good working order. Okay, yeah. Let's say we put that one in. Let's see what winterization looks like. Here's to winterize the swimming pool and equipment prior to completion. Okay, let's say I want that one in. So I've chosen 3 different winterization clauses. There may be, or 3 different pool clauses. There may be an opportunity for you to, change the wording on a couple. I'm going to show you in a second. So I'm just going to hit all 3, hit OK. This is new. This is good. They're asking now to put in the time and date. They didn't do this in the past. So I'm going to say seller agrees when as a swimming pool, buyer gives written notice of any claims to the seller not later than. Now for swimming pool clauses, I happen to know that May 24th is sort of a date that people open swimming pools. So I'll put June, for May, June. I'm going to put June 15th. So what that's saying is that we're going to let them know by June 15th of this year that everything was in working order, because we're going to open it in May, maybe June 1st, and we're going to see if the pool levels and everything are all okay. So this is the date that I'm putting in. Now put the clauses in. There they all are. Okay. If there happens to be like seller agrees to winterize a swimming pool and equipment prior to completion, maybe it was already winterized. You might have to change it to seller represents and warrants it was winterized by a professional and shall provide a written undertaking of completion. So you can change that, right? This is like Word. So you can go in there and make any changes there. I'm just going to.
And can I add something here?
Yeah, go ahead.
I always put a clause that adding up some names to for buyers actually, just for sake of getting loan, that.
Oh, I'm just gonna. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that saved 2 of my deals. One, we added up the name of the boy, the son.
What I'm going to say, Faye, is I appreciate that. And when you do add in different clauses, that's great. This is not about putting together an offer at this point in time for in terms of what clauses to use. What I want to do with web forms is show you how to put in clauses. So you put whatever clauses you want in there. Okay. And I appreciate that. That's good. But that's for specific situations, right? And maybe that's a great, maybe that's a great point, just to say that when you're using web forms, the standard clauses we put in there are our standard clauses. In Faye's situation, Faye added a clause in that she wanted to use to protect her people in her specific circumstances. So keep in mind, those clauses we put in are only generic clauses. You've got to decide on what clauses you want to use for your specific circumstances, okay? I'm just going to mute you there, Faye, and then move on to Farshid. Go ahead, Farshid. Oh, sorry, and I muted you. Sorry. Go ahead. I was going to unmute you. Go ahead.
Can you show us again how we can add the clauses that we have in the system, please?
Yeah, so what you're going to do is there's a clause, little pen up here, okay? And that's how you add clauses in. If you just hit clause, it'll add it to the bottom. I kind of like putting my cursor where I want that clause to be entered. Like I've put a cursor here because there's space, right? I may want to put it in there. So I put it where I want it to go. I go to the top and hit clause, and then I type in the clause I'm looking for. Now, some people will go into it and start searching. So you can start searching for clauses for different, and it's nicely organized. And maybe that's where I kind of lost. I jumped a little bit ahead by just hitting a search. But let's say you're looking for something to do with, you know, just looking for different things here. Let's say it was there's septic. Let's say it was sewer or water, right? So let's say you're looking for the sewer or water clauses. Well, there's the OREA top. Well, it is all their sewer water clauses. So you choose the one that is applicable because you'll read it, make sure it makes sense. Okay. And then you'll highlight it and then you'll hit OK. And what that does is it adds it.
Thank you.
Okay. I like my offers to look pretty. So remember, it works like Word. If I wanted to say that's just too much on one page, plus I want to put some spaces in there, I might go over here and highlight this. Well, you can right click and cut or copy, right? So in this case, I'm going to cut it and I'm going to go right onto another page. To add another page, you go to the top and just hit add page. Okay, you can remove pages and you can add pages at the top. So you hit add page. Yes, I would like to add another page. It will add the page for you, and then you'll be able to paste it in and then make it look a little better. So I'll show you that. Again, the system is a little slower than I'd like it to be, but it is what it is. So it's reloaded it. I go all the way to the bottom and it's added another page for me. So I'll go to the page, I'll hit paste, and then I can start making it look the way I like it to look, which is all these little spaces and stuff. So to me, that looks a little nicer. But that's just up to you, up to you how you want to do that. So now we've done everything we need to do in the agreement of purchase and sale, and I can move on to the next form. It will save as we go. Don't worry. I'm finally comfortable with that. I used to always go in and save it every time and stuff, but I'm comfortable that it saves as you go. We've done a few of them. Let's say we go to the confirmation of cooperation. And I'm not going to go through every form with you guys. I want you to see how we're progressing through forms and how the system works, but not bore you with how to fill in forms. So see how I already go on to what I always do, right? I go to the listing section. Now, if the listing brokerage is indeed representing the seller and is not representing or providing customer service to the buyer, I will click on the appropriate check marks. Okay. And if I'm the cooperating brokerage and I'm representing the interest of my buyer, so I have the buyer agency signed, or at least I'm going to, which by the way, you should do first, let's be honest. But in this case, let's pretend I did. Cooperating brokerage represents the interest of the buyer. And in the second section, we are the cooperating brokerage and we are getting paid the 2.5% that is in the MLS listing. Again, since it connects, don't you think it would be a great feature for them to put in what's being offered? So you don't have to go looking and make sure it's the right or wrong percentage. By the way, I don't know if everybody sees that. My Mac is low and is going to run out of batteries. So I'm just going to plug my Mac in. So you're filled in the 2.5%. You don't put in the HST because HST is applicable on all transactions. And you don't, we suggest you do not put that in there for different reasons. There we go. So that's 2.5s in there. Information at the bottom, we're there, Remax is there. The sellers are, they're trying to be there. And for the purpose, I'm just going to delete these because putting 4 sellers in those small spots just doesn't work for me. I'm just going to leave it blank and make the 4 sellers sign where they need to sign. But the only thing in the system that you really do need to manipulate is if there's more than 2 sellers. It is what it is. So that's that and done. So you click on transaction forms, and then you keep going through the forms. Try and go in order so that you don't miss anything, right? Confirmation was done. Now buyer representation. I said it was signed, I know, but let's say it wasn't. Let's say I was a bad agent and did not get my buyer rep signed before doing an offer. Then I can go in here and put in their address, the municipality, all this. Be careful with pop-ups. I want to tell you this, when you click on address here and you see all these different addresses that are on my computer, that's because of your computer. It's not because of web forms, right? What your computer is saying is, oh, there's an address field. Let's help you put an address in. Do not do that. Okay. Look at how it's changing everything on the form. Don't do that. Just click off of it or type in what address they actually live at. Okay. And commencing on, you put the dates and everything, the property use, the geographic location. You'll fill this in just like you're filling in, and you've been taught how to fill in these forms. Don't miss anything, right? I'm going to miss something because I want to move through some of the forms, just showing how the system works. Go back up to transaction forms and start moving through. Now, the other thing, I'm just going to close out, go back in here. I'm filling out these forms, and then at the end, I'm going to decide whether or not I want to print them all or want to send them off for signature. Okay. That's how I'm going to use the system. Oops. I just need to mute you there, Nadia. Okay. So the system itself, you do have the ability to print these. Now, because of COVID and everything, we've all been sending it through Authentisign. So I understand that you're just going to go through the forms, you're going to fill them in, and then you're going to choose them and then send them out for signature. Now, in the old days, we would have gone to the file and we just would have went print on every form. So every time you're done the form, just print it and you're all set. You're going to go over and get it signed person to person. I'm going to suggest you guys do that more often than not now. I know that people are getting used to doing the Authentisign. It's a much better service. You're building your relationship with your buyers on a much more personal level if you're signing and explaining every single one of these forms that you're having them sign in person. Okay, so as much as you do have the ability to still use Authentisign, I'm suggesting as you go through these transactional forms, right? Let's say we're doing the next one, which is, I don't know, buyer agreement, representation agreement. Fill out the buyer representation agreement. I think I was just on that form. Go to file and then hit print, and then you can bring it along and actually have it signed in person. Okay, so another sort of tip. As soon as you have it all signed, let's say you have all the documents signed within web forms, go ahead and save and exit if you like. Okay, and then it takes you back to forms. This is where you can say, yeah, I want certain things part of my signing or printing, old school print. Let's say these are the ones, we're not doing waivers. So let's say those are the ones you want signed. Okay, you're going to go to your basket and you're going to either send it to Authentisign, and then you're going to watch John's course on Authentisign, or you're going to print it, right? There's a little print thing. You can also save it as a PDF on your computer if you like, and then print it from there, however you want to do it. But this is how you'll do that, okay? Don't forget Schedule B. That'll be in your document section. You have to print that or have that added separately in Authentisign if you're doing Authentisign. Schedule B's often get forgotten because of the system and the way it doesn't really connect with your Schedule B, but that's another quirk. And we'll hit close. So I want to show you now one of the things that I was always kind of like, where am I at, right? You look at these, like you're in forms. If you ever get lost, right, it's just like, where am I at? It saves as you go, and always rely on that little speed dial, the dashboard. Because if you click on the speed dial, it's always going to be the last things you worked on is going to be in these little windows. There's the last purchase of 33 to enter. That's what we were working on. That was the last thing I was working on. And in the form section, you've got buyer representation agreement was the last thing we were in. Then it was a confirmation cooperation. So they're in order of the last thing that you touched. So it's kind of nice, right? A couple other features that I want to show you, or just want to mention, is all your Authentisign signings. So let's say we did choose those forms, send it over to Authentisign and use Authentisign. Soon as that signing's done, when you go to 322 Andrew Street, I'm just going to quit my mail so it stops pinging. Purchase a 322 Andrew Street. So you click on the transaction. All those signings are in the document section. Even if I combine them, like I said, remember how I put all 5 forms and then sent it to Authentisign for signing? As soon as they're signed, it breaks them up back into their original like forms separated and puts it into a folder in your document section. So all your signings are in that folder. So that means if you're using DocuSign, for example, it doesn't do that for you, right? Essentially, to get the signing documents, you have to save them to computer, attach them to an email, upload them to the transaction desk or hand them into the front desk. You have to do all that. So this really does allow you to do it all in one. So as much as Authentisign is a separate program, it really does mesh well with the CREA Webforms. The other thing to consider within your transaction dashboard, up on the top right-hand side, I always forget this is here. There is a hamburger up here as well. And when you click on that, you can get back into the wizard. Remember I said at the beginning that you can get back into the wizard if you want to do that. You can go to the dashboard, or you can go into any of these sections, your signings, your documents, your contacts. So, you know, this does save it. Like in here, we'll have your contacts of the transaction. And if you made a mistake or you wanted to split people up into different people or however you want to do it, do you see how it created Zari or is Tim Smith that it created for me because it was in that that section on the web form, what do they call it, the field. Because I put Tim Smith and Marie Smith in the field, it created the contact for me, which was kind of nice. Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave, that's a basic overview of a purchase, right? Obviously it works the same way with listings or any other leases, tenants, all that kind of stuff. I want you, for those that aren't familiar with web forms as much, I want you to spend today, go into web forms 4 times. And what I want you to do is just navigate through transactions, logging in, using the dashboard to see how the dashboard looks, right? Going in and just clicking on transactions so you can see what transactions are in there. You may not have any. Create a dummy transaction. Go into the speedometer, hit create transaction and do temporary or a test transaction. Create that, right? And do up or do up an offer on your own house, because that's the best way that you're going to sort of see how the system works. And there'll be questions along the way. And there are lots of, I've got about 4 videos on this. It hasn't been since 2019, I think, or 2020, but you know, they're all very similar in terms of the functionality. So a lot of the answers are there. You can always call your manager, call myself, call the front desk. They know how to use this as well. So there's lots of support. I thought one last thing to wrap things up. I'm just going to show you, if you decide web forms isn't your jam, you know, or you're busy out in the field and you just don't have the time to put this offer together, virtualoffer.ca. You can just fill in, auto save your work. Okay. So you can just fill in your virtual offer here. Virtual offer, it's available on your mobile phone. It's called virtualoffer.ca. We'll type offers for you Monday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday at those times. Currently I'm on Dale Pegg's account. That's okay. But you'll put in your information, the property address, say what office that you're associated with. They're the one that's going to get your offer ready for you. And then it's what is it, type of offer. You hit next, what the address is, and then hit next, and then it goes through all the questions that you'll need just to fill in on web forms. They'll fill it in for you. Anything that's negated on here, that's okay. They'll leave it blank. It even has clauses that you can put in. These are the ones we put in, and then additional clauses. So you just fill in the blanks, and then they'll put that into web forms for you, and then they'll send you an editable version so you can print it off and go have it signed. Just so you know it's there as well, the virtualoffer.ca. Thank you so much for watching. If you like our video, please hit the like button, the subscribe, and even the little bell to get notifications, just so you can stay in touch and watch more of these great videos.